Hey, how are we all doing? Welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. We are doing this as a bit of a test, really, just to see what the appetite is like for going live straight after a game week. Was hoping we'd have a bit more to discuss from West Ham versus Brentford. Oh, I've just sat through it, and then I've turned the game off with a couple of minutes left. I've just seen that it went to 2-0. So I just sat through all of that second half and didn't see that late goal from Brentford. But Brentford have beaten West Ham 2-0. I mean, the big takeaway is going to be don't pick any West Ham players. Roger says Bowen is good, but West Ham are not exactly that. Bowen might need to look for a transfer. That's the last thing he wants to be doing. He loves West Ham. He doesn't want to be leaving. But West Ham are absolutely dire. They're in big trouble. And Nuno just cannot turn them into Nottingham Forest this quickly. Thank you to everyone who is jumping in. Leyland says he was first. Very well done, mate, for getting on the chat. Hit the like on the way in if you so please. We would be grateful. Just really looking for your takes on the weekend. See what your scores were. See what our big talking points are. A few people talking about the fact that I was right to ditch Salah and bring in Saka. Yeah, I think so. Saka got me 7 points. Salah blanks again. He's done. Salah is absolutely done in this game. There is just nothing there. I'd be really interested to see with Mo Salah if he gets picked now in the Champions League game. It's a great opportunity to leave him out. I think in the last Champions League game he was sub, wasn't he? And I just don't think there's anything to lose by putting Salah on the bench. The alternate argument would be we'll try and play him into form, but I don't know. I don't even know if I would bother with that right now. I'd probably sit him out for a couple of games because it's that bad. When he stuck that one wide of the post, it summed it all up for me. But I'm glad I got Saka in. Obviously didn't score, but did get 7 points as Arsenal saw off my Fulham team. So I got 12 points out of Arsenal this week through Saka, Rice and Gyökeres, which isn't great, but equally, I didn't want them to get that many points because they were playing against my team. Gianni is in bed. G has a young family and they've got a busy week and it's late in the UK. It's 10 o'clock. G doesn't work this late. For me in San Diego, it's 2 p.m. So I thought, why not jump on after the weekend's ended and just have a quick chat. Jason got 83 points this week. He's up to 13k. Jason, that is absolutely insane. Well done, mate. I've dropped this week. I haven't actually checked what my live rank is, but I was down to like 600k when I looked yesterday. So I'm going to have to bounce back next game week. Not too worried. It wasn't a disaster. It was fine. FPL Freddy says Frimpong did more in his 2 minutes than Salah did in 85. I totally agree. I think Frimpong just adds something much more dynamic, doesn't he, down that right? And there's more threat. Have to see. I mean, I don't know if you can play Frimpong right winger, but part of me thinks, why not? Mo is just out of form. It happens, says Robert. I don't know, mate. I don't know if there's more to it than that. My big take on it is that they should never have given him the contract that they gave him. They're now tied in to a player on an extortionate amount of money on a new contract. When it was very clear, like Mo Salah had already peaked last season. You were never going to get him any better than that. And it was unlikely he would even going to match that. He's got AFCON to come. I understand it would have been a massive risk, like letting him go and join somebody else. And that's ultimately why they didn't do it. Because if Liverpool had let Salah leave and then they were in a predicament like the one they're in now, everyone would have been like, well, they shouldn't have let Salah go. It's hard, right? It's hard. But ultimately, I don't know that this is just a blip. I think that Liverpool have been really unsettled as well by all the transfers that they made. It's all one thing like making big signings and making signings that add to the depth. But when they're of that stature of player that were coming in, it feels like it's just unsettled things. And Slot doesn't know who to pick on a weekly basis. And it's really hard to bench players that have cost like £100 million. So he's in a new situation right now. And I'll be interested to see what the big calls are coming up. For me, the one they should be playing is Ekitike. He's the big signing from the summer that actually is backing up his price tag. Whenever he's gone in, pretty much, he scored a goal. Obviously got that silly red card, which There's a bit of a blot, I guess, on his season. But I would overlook that. I'd be like, well, at least he's given us something that the others have not. Andrew says, not happy with Slot. He's all at sea. His love for Gakpo is stupid. Gakpo's your best player. I don't know if it's stupid. Gakpo's your best player. I think Scott's made some bad decisions. I'm not sure that playing Gakpo is particularly one of them. Wirtz unbalances the entire midfield from last season, says Jason. Lewis says Wirtz is actually playing well. Everybody has opinions, but ultimately, Arne Slot is the boss. Now, there was talk not long ago of Slot getting a new contract. In fact, it was a couple of weeks ago. Should Slot get a new contract? And the talk's starting. His contract ends in the summer of 2027. And then on the back of this weekend, I'm reading people saying, I think maybe I'm going to be Slot out. Slot out? Already? Just won the title last season. It's a tough one, right? Like, Amorim was out 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. He's won back-to-back games. Suddenly he's 2 points behind Liverpool. And Amorim's not going to get sacked for the foreseeable future. He is staying at Man United probably for the entire season now. So these things can turn around very quickly. Look at Arsenal at the start of the season. Arteta are accused of playing with the handbrake on and being criticised for their approach to that Liverpool game. Now here we are, people saying they're incomparable, the two teams. Arsenal doing what it takes and Liverpool can't get any points on the board and have lost 4 games in a row. Football changes very quickly. Liverpool will get themselves back on track. Frankfurt and Brentford away is tough, says Maliki. It is, but it's not that tough. It's not that tough. Frankfurt got smashed in their last Champions League game. Bayern Munich beat them 3-0 recently. Like Frankfurt, they're not terrible, no. But they're not great. And nor are Brentford. You know, like, this is Liverpool. We're talking about the reigning Premier League champions here. They shouldn't be tough games. They should be games you go and win. Getty says, early hot take, Brentford 2, Liverpool 1. I mean, if that does happen, honestly, then that is a massive. That might be the biggest defeat of all 5 that we would have seen at that point, unless they also lose in midweek and the Champions League, in which case it'll be 6 if they also lose to Brentford. Hi, Dean, should I buy Minte or Paqueta? I mean, I don't know if you just watched West Ham, but I wouldn't advise anybody to pick any West Ham player for the foreseeable future. Stay away. Paqueta, the last I saw of that game was sending a shot about 35 yards over the crossbar. Minte is better than him by 100 miles. And Minte goes to Old Trafford next. That's a really interesting game. Brighton against Man United. Man United looking to make it 3 in a row. It's a good opportunity to do so. I tell you what, though, from an FPL perspective, I am tempted by Danny Welbeck. I think we always overlook his goals. And I think we overlook his pedigree as well in this league. I think Man United could do worse than have Danny Welbeck as an option for themselves. But Danny Welbeck going to Old Trafford, I'd watch out for that one. But Minte, I think, is a good pick, especially if that's what you're contemplating. Then steer away from Paqueta. I can't recommend that at all. West Ham, the only player I'd even be considering would be Jarrod Bowen. And in this moment, I wouldn't be touching it. Of course, did he go Welbeck over Mateta? Maybe, but we talked last week, and I went through all the stats about Mateta. He had the highest XG. He had the highest missed chances. Palace had the best chances created, and all those sorts of stats. And then it paid off. Heather says, hi and bye. See you later, Heather. Thank you for jumping on. But Palace had all these chances. I kept bringing it up last week, and I never seriously considered getting Mateta. I did consider getting Salah, but for some reason, I never really considered Mateta. Obviously, regretting that now that he's got a hat-trick. But the data was there for us. And to be honest, even on an eye test, it was there. Mateta's great. So, yeah, that's strange. FPL Freddy says, Dean, didn't you find it strange? West Ham needed a goal and Callum Wilson didn't get on. I mean, they weren't even getting the ball up high enough that Callum Wilson would have got a sniff. But yeah, I take your point. West Ham are going into the market for a striker in January. I can confirm that. I've spoken to somebody that said that that's pretty much the top priority. Obviously, no Fulkrug to call upon. Callum Wilson, Callum Marshall, they haven't got a lot to pick from at the moment. Paqueta and Jarrod Bowen, there are other options to play through the middle, if you can even consider them to be options. But yeah, West Ham did nothing off the bench to try and change it. Callum Marshall is the guy that came on for Andy Irving. The fact that West Ham are starting Andy Irving at this point says everything, really, to be honest with you. But yeah, steer clear of West Ham assets moving forward. The only thing I'd say is maybe target West Ham. Let's see what Doug's is saying. He says, I'm an Everton fan. I think people are praising and criticising Dyche for things that are untrue. I don't see them getting too much better, particularly quickly. Wait and see for Forest defenders at best. Yeah, Sean Dyche going in now to Nottingham Forest. Ange Postecoglou losing his job on the back of their 3-0 defeat to Chelsea. We predicted straight away here on Chasing Green Arrows that just wasn't going to work. It's like steer away from Forest assets as soon as that appointment was made, because Ange doesn't know what to do with the squad like that. It proved to be true. I do think that Forest defenders will be fine again soon. I think that under Dyche, that's the one thing that you will get. You know, Ange loves an open game of football. He doesn't know how to keep clean sheets particularly well. And that proved to be the case, didn't it? And now he's got a nice another payoff. But Forest, I do think the defensive assets will eventually come in. Dean, is Jadon Anthony a good option over me? I think Anthony is a good pick for Burnley. Burnley with one of the biggest victories over this Premier League weekend by beating Leeds 2-0. It is worth pointing out that Leeds were pretty good in this game. They just can't finish chances. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, an old friend of mine, he ain't the one. He is not the one. He's getting chances and he just can't bury him. His movements are quite good. His positioning's good. But Calvert-Lewin just cannot finish the chances that he needs. And Leeds are counting the cost of that, to be honest. So Leeds probably in the market as well for a striker in the January market. But Burnley, that is a big win. And Anthony is a guy that we should all have our eyes on. He's extremely exciting and an interesting target to have. Didn't actually score a goal in that game. But Burnley's next match is against Wolves, who are, well, at the moment, the worst team in the division. But it's not looking good for Wolves at all. So, yeah, Anthony for the next game week, I would say, is a pretty good bet. Chris says, best asset, Mbumo or Gakpo? That's a good question. I like it a lot. Mbumo's certainly a good pick now. He's one thing that we've got with Man United in terms of these improvements that we've been seeing recently is that the 10s understand the system. The 10s and Amad Diallo, particularly on that right when he comes in, those sorts of movements are working really well. Mason Mount works really well in those positions because he can also drop in and help out Bruno and Casemiro. So we're seeing a lot of that as well. Interesting that Šeško didn't get the nod for that game and that Cunha started. United on the lookout for a new striker, by the way, for January. Not to replace Šeško, just as another option. But yeah, I like Mbumo a lot. For that Brighton game, I think he's a good pick. Gakpo is the guy that the chances fall to for Liverpool, and he tends to bury them. So I'm not saying that he's a bad pick. But obviously with Liverpool right now, we don't exactly know what we're getting. Just having a quick look at what Liverpool have got coming up in the league. They've got Brentford away, then they've got Aston Villa at home, and then before the international break, they've got Man City away. If you measure that up against what Man United have got, I prefer what Man United have got. So if it's out of Mbumo and Gakpo, honestly, I'll be tempted to go on Mbumo. Lewis says, do we trust Man United yet? Turn up for big games and then poor again. Well, it's not strictly true at the moment. That's the thing. That's what's interesting about this, because they're not just turning up for big games. They're turning up for other games too, because they beat Sunderland 2-0. They beat Chelsea 2-1. They beat Burnley 3-2. So they've turned up for those games. And so actually for the Brighton game, I now have a slightly new expectation of them, whereby I feel that they can go into that game with some authority for once and some expectation. And with Amorim having no pressure on him and talking about his job around that game. Very, very rare that he's had a week during a season, not an international break, whereby his job's actually been safe. So I find that interesting. Of course, there's Man U keeper, an option maybe. Stendhal Ammons has done really, really well. And he has changed the feel of that Man United team. The fans trust him and the defence seem to trust him too. And he's not messing around with the ball when it's at his feet either. He's getting rid of it. Amorim doesn't want United playing around at the back at the moment. He doesn't want to play that sort of risk. He wants Lammers to just get the ball out of there, and then they can readjust, reshape, and they can try to keep the ball further up the pitch rather than the edge of their box, because typically over the last few seasons, it hasn't proved to be a great idea. So it's one of the problems he had with Onana, actually. He wasn't really interested in what Onana could do with the ball at his feet. And he told his defenders to stop giving the ball back to Onana because it was just causing too many problems. So actually, yeah, Man United I do trust. I am very intrigued by what happens for them in that Brighton fixture at the weekend. Robert says, should I go Bruno? I've got the money in the bank. It was a good performance from Bruno, wasn't it? He's a nice assist for him to Harry Maguire. 9 million is a lot. I'm guessing he's still around that figure. I don't know. I still find the 9 million off-putting, mate. I don't love it. I'd rather go Mbeumo, personally. But that's partly because Bruno plays that deeper role. Look, him and Casemiro have built up a really good partnership. That has to be said. Can Casemiro get out there every week? We'll have to wait and see. Keep your questions coming in. I'm only doing another 10 minutes today. I just wanted to do a sharp, fast reaction show today to see if you guys wanted to chat, and I see over 100 of you in for us right now. Tell us what you think you're going to be looking at this week. Heady's looking for a Foden replacement for 8.1. I mean, I'm guessing Mbeumo might come under that umbrella, mate. We'll talk about that a bit more in detail tomorrow. We will be doing another live, and I think that's one that we can look to then. So give me a second, mate, and we'll draw up some sort of alternates for things like that, and we'll see if we can get some images ready to see who we should be looking at for replacements for players like Foden, who are they're tough to hold on to. I get it. Like, if you got City, then you want Haaland. You can stick with Reinders, and then I've got Gvardiol. I'm quite happy with it. Generally sticking going forward, even if Gvardiol doesn't play, I know he's going to be back in very soon. Let's see what other questions we've got coming in. Dean, Grealish over Ndiaye. Also, West Ham, the worst team in the league. Well, West Ham aren't the worst team in the league. No, Wolves are. But Grealish over Ndiaye is an interesting one. Ndiaye is great. It's just how often Everton can unlock him fully to get the best out of him. I think I'll be tempted to stick with Ndiaye for that Tottenham game that's coming, especially if you've already got him. Like, switching one Everton player for another, I'm not sure I see too much upside for that, because we genuinely don't know which of those two is going to have the better output. And to be honest, if we're talking goals, I would expect Ndiaye to offer us more than Jack Grealish might. So I would say, if you've already got Ndiaye, stick with him. So that would be my stance on that. But yeah, that's a big game for Everton and Tottenham at the weekend. So another one for us to analyse as we go through this week. Michael says Ndiaye over Grealish from a toffee. So take his advice. Grealish obviously a good option, and he's got a good assist record this season. But Ndiaye is the better player for me right now. Of course, moved early. Strand Larson to Mark Gu, Gordon to Grealish. Okay, it's pretty bold. I mean, the Strand Larson one, I'm not wholly sure about, because Gu, like, how many minutes are you going to get out of him? That's what I'd be concerned about on that front. But I love that you've gone for it so early. And yeah, talking there about Grealish, I don't think Grealish is a bad pick necessarily. I just think that Ndiaye would be the guy that I probably would take over him. Losing faith in Anthony Gordon there, I see off-core, which is very interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us. Krupi Jr. to Mark Gu, says Lewis. Krupi Jr. with 2 goals at the weekend, which surprised a lot of people. He's my dead spot there. Okay, fair enough. That's fine. Gyökeres, a few people asking about Gyökeres. What I think of Gyökeres is obviously not great in terms of goal output. I'm not that disheartened by the performances, to be totally honest. And I think that Arteta sticks with him. Gyökeres, by the law of averages, is going to come back into goals soon. I've got him, and I'm sticking with him. Like, it is a bit of a gamble at this point, but I feel like it's going to turn. Yeah. I know that people are putting together little highlights reels at the moment on X. Some of them are trying to convince you that he's doing everything right, and some are trying to convince you that he's doing everything wrong. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think he's doing fine. Like, people are also talking about Gyökeres like he's a £100 million signing. Like, he was £64 million. Like, he's like half the price of Isak. So let's not judge him too harshly. Like, he's fulfilling a role within an Arsenal team, and an Arsenal team at the top of the league and still winning. Like, yeah, he needs to score more goals over the course of the season, but I don't think that Arsenal are getting a worse deal here than Liverpool have got on Wirtz or Isak so far. So I'd try to remember that, to be completely honest. Ahmed says, please like everyone since you're here. Yeah, give us a like. Why not? Give us a like. Reinders out for Enzo, Van der Ven out for Chalobah, and Kudus out for Gakpo. Whoa, you're not messing around there at all. Kudus unlucky. I mean, he's not unlucky in the sense that he was 3 yards offside when he started his run. That was a bit dumb, perhaps. But Kudus, the way that he scored his offside goal, his chest control is unbelievable. An absolutely brilliant finish. Kudus is like right on the edge of being a good FPL asset at the moment for me. So, yeah, I can see it because Gakpo's got better output. I think that pick's okay. Rounders out for Eza. Yeah, I mean, the Rangers' love is dying out. It's fizzling out at the moment, so that's fine. Van der Ven out for Chalobah. Much of a muchness. Don't think that one really matters, to be completely honest with you. Robert could get Gabriel for 4 points. Gabriel's a magnet, isn't he? On those set pieces, he's just always there. He's always getting his head on it. He's either scoring it or he's flicking it onto the far post for somebody else to stick in. Gabriel is probably one that I wish I had right now from Arsenal, and maybe I end up giving up on Declan Rice and going to Gabriel. Maybe I need to do that. FPL Discomfort says, evening, morning, Dean. Good afternoon from me. 2:25 p.m. here in sunny San Diego. But yeah, hello to everybody who's here. Mark says, Mateta hat-trick ruined my getting in game week 10 plan. Price rises, Isak out, Mateta in, 4.5 mil to splash around. Green Arrow now ranked 300k. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. You can reset all those plans. You can reset on those plans. You'll be good. Mateta hat-trick wasn't quite what we predicted, but the stats were there, like I said earlier, that Palace do make a lot of chances and they tend to fall to Mateta. So maybe it's something we all should have seen a bit more clearly than we actually did. Discomfort says, Virgil out for Mukiele worked out better than I dreamt. That's a great move. Mukiele is great. I made a point, because I've seen Sunderland, but not properly this season, and I made a point of watching their game in its entirety at the weekend. Mukiele's great. He is great. Like, that is the sort of player that every fan base dreams of having. Does everything. He works tirelessly. He'll take throws. He'll get in the box. He'll put his body on the line. Love it. Mukiele is a great pick. G's been talking about him for a while here on CGA. And yeah, I've kind of overlooked it, but now I've watched more of the Sunderland game. Yeah, I like it a lot. Dean, should I hold on to Sells? My second goalkeeper is Dubravka. I mean, that changes now because Dyche is coming in. Sells looks a bit of a better signing now. I think you can hold on to him. Between him and Dubravka, I think Dubravka's, off the top of my head, got a decent game next. So you might be fine with Dubravka for this week while Forest resettle and then move back to Sells. I think that one's probably okay. So yeah, I would stick with that one. Last few minutes, everyone, just to get your thoughts on the game week. Obviously, it was an intriguing one that's seen Arsenal end up on top of the table. Man City is second, Bournemouth up there in third. Bournemouth just having such a good season. Robert says they're all foul throws. Wouldn't let your 10-year-old get away with it. And there are definitely more foul throws than are being given at the moment. I'll give you that. Everyone launching these balls into the box, and definitely some feet are coming off the ground or going over that line recently. I have spotted that too. Ahmed's gone from 860k to 110. That is motivation for all of us, because a good game week, picking a couple of players that are differentials, having that edge can really take you a long way. Well done, Ahmed. That's really nice stuff. Lovely to hear about it as well. Chelsea Boy says, is it time to take Reinders out? It might be. It might be. I mean, I don't think it really matters if you want to. I'd say that's the main thing with it. Like, he looks like a really good bargain buy. I still think he could be over the course of the season, but Aston Villa away, that bothered if you haven't got Reinders? You're probably not. The game after that, Bournemouth at home, probably much of the muchness. Yeah, I think if you want to switch out Reinders for somebody else, then do so without too much risk. You won't be the only person transferring him out right now. Kevin jumped from 1.7 mil to 800k. Very good work, mate. Nice to hear it. G had a good week. He got like 84 points. Did he? I didn't check that. Good. I'm pleased. I'm pleased for G. We want him doing well on this channel, and so I'm very happy to see that. Lovely stuff. Jason says, João Pedro thoughts. I don't want him. I very nearly brought João Pedro in. So obviously we did the deadline show, and I went to bed just thinking I've got no Chelsea assets and they're going to beat Nottingham Forest. And as I said on this show, I knew Chelsea were going to beat Forest and that they'd score a couple of goals at least. But my thought was always, but it won't be João Pedro. It'll be other players going in behind, or it'll be other ways to go, and it's not going to be João Pedro. Yet as I was thinking about it, I was like, but do I just get him in? Because I've got Muniz in my team who's dead. I've got money. I could just bring João Pedro in and cover myself. And because the game was on at a stupid time here, I was like, no, don't do it. Save the transfer. I woke up, I saw it was 3-0. I was like, oh, João Pedro's bound to have got one, isn't he? And he hadn't. He hadn't. Steer clear of him. Steer clear of João Pedro. I don't think anybody needs him right now. There are other better forward options than that one. Who's top between yourself, Gianni, and Baka? I think it's me, but it certainly was me going into this weekend, and I think I probably had enough points that I haven't seen how Big Man got on, so I don't know for sure. I didn't have a great game week, but I don't think it was bad enough that I wouldn't still be top of those three. But it doesn't matter. We're in game week 8. It's pretty irrelevant right now. We're all much of a muchness, aren't we? As we've seen with those big jumps that people have been making. Right. I'm going to leave it there. I just wanted to do a little reaction. Was hoping we might have a bit of a more exciting game than West Ham 0 Brentford 2. But fair play to Brentford for going there and getting that win over a dire West Ham team. Me and Gianni are going to be back tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled for that. It'll be a proper show. We'll have more images. We'll have more alternatives for you to think up to the players that are underperforming for you. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks for joining us, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Cheers, everyone.